So you know what I hate is when I record a video and I don't leave the sound off, but I record it with a different audio interface because I'm going to give an audio interface that I've had for a long time a shot again, basically giving it another chance. For those of you out there who don't know what I'm talking about, the microphone is plugged into an interface which has a USB that's plugged into the computer. So I used one that is several years old that I used to have when I played guitar and sing into it and had a microphone for that, and it recorded everything at slightly slower, lower pitch. Here's an example.
On today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about something that's very, very common sense, but gets overlooked.
Now that's annoying, right? This video is brought to you by HVAC Global, empowering you to work smarter. HVAC is an innovator in battery HVAC tools, including the new 2CFM and 4CFM battery vacuum pumps. You have never been more compact and mobile as an HVAC service tech and installer. Save 8% off HVAC testing equipment at TrueTechTools.com by using the Shop Talk promo code. Okay guys, let's get down to brass tacks, as my hard-nosed grandma would say. I want to talk to you today about starting and finishing. A lot of us do a great job on the job installing and servicing equipment. I know a lot of people, just by the very nature that you're watching this video, you care more about your career than probably 90% of the tradesmen that you see at the supply house. And that's true to life. People have varying degrees of interest in varying things. Not everybody cares to do a good job. They just want to do a good enough job, go home, spend their paycheck, and they have a different set of priorities, for better or for worse. But a lot of you guys watching want to do a good job, and that's a good thing. I want to talk about what you do during the job. Install. Let's take that for example. You install a duct system. It's perfectly level. It's perfectly straight. Your air handlers or coils are nestled in a drain pan, equidistant on all sides. Perfect. Everything's level. Everything's plumb. Everything's done correctly. When you go outside and set your condenser or your heat pump, you put it on risers to get it up so you can clean it easier. To move it from the snow line, you set it on a condenser pad that's perfectly level. You've checked it 3 times. You've added dirt or rocks around it to make it look good, and you're sure that it won't wash out. The legs that you put underneath your heat pump, the risers, they're 10 or 12 inches tall, and they're equidistant from each side. Even the side where you have the copper coming in, we have to nestle it inside a little bit. You make it as plumb as possible. That's the kind of people you guys and gals are. Just by the nature that you're watching this, you care about your jobs more than likely. But I want to talk to you about what happens after that. Because a lot of us, we start strong and finish poorly. Finishing equals commissioning. A lot of people put out a good system. We're going to assume that they size the ductwork correctly, but that kind of goes into the same area. A lot of people put in beautiful systems that are sized incorrectly. So it's almost like the illusion is there that everything is going to be wonderful when in fact it's not. But when a customer sees it, they're very pleased. And my own father used to say, if it looks good, then it works good. And I think a lot of times that's true. But I think a lot of other times, and I've noticed this in my own travels and myself, you can go back on my YouTube channel and see great examples of where I started strong and finished poorly. I would install a system, I would make sure everything looked good, and then I would get to the very end and I wouldn't test airflow. I wouldn't know how many CFM. How many of you install systems time after time and don't know what kind of airflow you have, but they look good? If you don't know what kind of airflow you have at the close of the day, you've done a poor finish. And I'm not sitting here judging you. I'm just saying that's one of the main measurements that's missing. And if you don't do it, it's a golden opportunity for you to improve and add that to your repertoire, because it's something you should do. How did you charge a system where you didn't know what the airflow was? How could you possibly know what the correct charge was? And here's what I mean by that. If you have a piston system, which not many systems are still, there are some that are piston, and you have lower than nominal airflow, your superheat's going to naturally be lower. So you might go in there and charge to the proper target superheat. Let's say it's 10, but your subcooling is going to be too low because the charge is actually lower overall in the system, because with the lower airflow, the superheat drops. If you were to set the right airflow, the superheat would come up, you would have had to add more charge, and your subcooling would have gone higher. So potentially you're not getting that solid column of liquid to the expansion device, in this case a piston, because the airflow wasn't set. Or it can work both ways. Airflow can be excess, cause superheat to be higher, and the system can be overcharged. Now if you have a heat pump, you have an overcharged heat pump, and if you charge it in cooling and heating, you might regret it. It might run a really, really high head pressure, excess compressor amps, and cause a machine to be less efficient. Now with a TXV, things work the same way. If you have a lower than nominal airflow, let's say you set 300 CFM per ton, your TXV is going to try to adjust itself for a proper superheat. Let's say your TXV wants 10 degrees of superheat and you have 300 CFM per ton. Well, that TXV is going to close, allowing less refrigerant to go into the coil to raise the superheat. Same principle of the piston, but the TXV has the ability to adjust to bring the superheat up. But in bringing the superheat up, the suction pressure goes down. You can recognize this by using the correlation of return air dry bulb temperature and suction saturation temperature. We can talk about this more, but I'm just telling you, if you don't finish well, these are some issues that arise. And sometimes they won't bite you right away. Sometimes it's just a long, bad experience that you're going to have to deal with for a long time. And if you use systems that are more intuitive, like modern inverter systems, they may have you coming back more often than you want to because you did not set that airflow. Some of them are pretty automated, where you set them up and they recognize and do it by themselves, but there is still some human input. And as long as there's human input, they need you to do a good job of inputting the data. And you have to take the measurements for that. Confirmation is everything. When someone asks you if you did a good job and you don't know how much airflow you have going through a machine, you can't answer that question, I did a good job. It can look beautiful, it can be wonderful, but unless you finish well, it's not a complete job. And I think a lot of you guys want to do a complete job. On many previous occasions, I was ignorant to this fact. I didn't finish well, either because I didn't know what I was doing or because I chose not to do it because I was in a hurry, I was tired, I was dirty, I was sweaty. We're all humans, guys. It's going to take that extra bit of perseverance to push through that, and I know how it feels because I've plenty of times gone back on what I should have done. Don't be like me. That's my bit for today, guys. I hope you have a good day. Stay away from the Rona. If you see the Corona, duck underneath it or run to the side of it. Wear your mask, stay in your bubble, and I'll see you on the next one. When you install air conditioners, gotta set the airflow right. When you install air conditioners, gotta know CFM. Don't be like Zach. Don't forget or blame the fact that you're a hack. Just set that airflow right.